A long, long time ago, before the mountains rose and the oceans waved, the world was just a big, cloudy, shapeless place. High above, in the heavens, lived two very special gods, Izanagi, the male god of creation, and Izanami, the female goddess of creation. The other gods gave them a magical gift, a long, jeweled spear, and said, "Go and make the world below into a beautiful place." Izanagi and Izanami stood on the floating bridge of heaven and looked down at the swirling ocean of clouds and water. They dipped the jeweled spear into the sea and gave it a big stir. Swirl, swirl, swirl. When they lifted it back up, drops fell from the tip, and those drops became the very first island of Japan, Onogoroshima. Excited, they went down to the island to begin their big job, creating the world. On the island, Izanagi and Izanami built a tall pillar and walked around it from opposite sides. When they met, they said nice words to each other and got married. Then they started having children, who were the islands of Japan and many of the gods of nature, gods of wind, mountains, trees, rivers, and fire. But when Izanami gave birth to the fire god, she was terribly burned, and sadly, she died. Izanagi was heartbroken. He missed Izanami so much that he traveled to the land of Yomi, the dark land of the dead, to bring her back. He found her, but she was hiding in the shadows. "Izanami," he said, "please come back with me." She replied, "I want to, but it's too late. I've eaten the food of this place. I can't leave. Let me ask the gods of Yomi first, but promise, do not look at me." Izanagi waited, but he was too curious. He lit a torch, and when he saw Izanami, he was horrified. She no longer looked like the goddess he remembered. She was a spirit of death. Ashamed and angry, Izanami chased Izanagi out of Yomi. He ran and just barely escaped. He placed a giant boulder at the entrance to the underworld so she could never follow him again. From behind the stone, Izanami called, "If you leave me, I will take 1,000 lives every day." Izanagi replied, "Then I will bring 1,000 new lives into the world each day." And that is how death and life came to the world. After escaping the land of death, Izanagi felt dirty and sad, so he went to a river to wash himself clean. As he washed, from his left eye came Amaterasu, the sun goddess. From his right eye came Tsukuyomi, the moon god. From his nose came Susanoo, the storm god. These children became the next great gods who shaped the world. And so the world was made. Thanks to Izanagi and Izanami, the land was created. The natural world came to life, and light and dark, life and death became part of the world's balance. A long, long time ago, when the world was young, there were 3 very special gods born from the creator, Izanagi. One of them was Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun, who brought light and warmth to the world. Her light made the flowers bloom, the trees grow, and everyone smile. Amaterasu had a brother named Susanoo, the god of storms and the sea. He was loud, wild, and full of energy. Sometimes he was kind, but other times he caused big trouble. One day, Susanoo was told he had to leave the heavens. Before he left, he wanted to say goodbye to his sister Amaterasu. But Amaterasu was worried. "Why is he coming?" she thought. "Is he going to cause problems again?" To prove he meant no harm, they played a magical game. They each made gods from each other's treasures. That seemed nice, but Susanoo soon forgot his promise to behave. He ran through Amaterasu's rice fields, ruining the crops. He threw garbage in her palace. Worst of all, he threw a dead horse into her weaving hall, where her helpers were working. It was very scary and sad. Amaterasu was so upset and heartbroken that she hid inside a cave deep in the mountains. She closed the door behind her. Without Amaterasu, the world had no sun. The sky went dark, flowers wilted, people and gods were afraid. What will we do without her light? The gods cried. The gods came together and made a plan. One goddess, Amino Uzumi, had a funny idea. She started to dance in front of the cave, so silly and joyful that everyone started to laugh and cheer. Amaterasu, curious about all the noise, peeked out. What's going on? She wondered. The gods showed her a shiny mirror and said, Look, someone so bright and beautiful is out here. When she saw her own reflection, Amaterasu smiled. She stepped out of the cave just a little, and the gods pulled her out quickly and sealed the cave shut. The sun came back. The world was bright again. Everyone cheered. Amaterasu has returned. As for Susanoo, he was told to leave the heavens for causing so much trouble. But even though he made mistakes, he still had a good heart deep down. On his journey, he rescued a girl from a terrible dragon and found a magic sword hidden inside the monster. To show he was sorry, he gave the sword to Amaterasu as a gift. That sword, along with the mirror and a jewel, became the 3 sacred treasures of Japan, symbols of peace, wisdom, and courage. And to this day, people in Japan still remember the story of Amaterasu, who brings light, and Susanoo, who learned to be brave and kind. A long, long time ago, the storm god Susanoo wandered through the lands of Japan. He had been banished from the heavens for causing trouble, but now he wanted to do good things and prove he had changed. One day, as he walked through the countryside, he came to a village where he heard the sound of crying. Susanoo found an old man and an old woman holding their daughter close. She was very beautiful, with eyes like stars and hair like silk. Her name was Kushinada Jaime. Why are you crying? Susanoo asked. The old man said sadly, We had 8 daughters, but every year a terrible monster comes and takes one away. Now only Kushinada is left. Susanoo's eyes narrowed. What kind of monster? It is a giant serpent with 8 heads and 8 tails, the man said. It's called Yamata no Orochi. It's huge, so big it covers 8 hills and rivers when it moves. Susanoo looked at the crying family, then at Kushinada Jaime, and said kindly, I will save her and defeat the serpent. But when I do, may I marry your daughter? The parents agreed, and Kushinada shyly nodded. Susanoo knew he couldn't fight a monster that big with just strength, so he made a clever plan. He told the family to make 8 barrels of strong rice wine, the kind that even monsters can't resist. He placed each barrel behind a fence with 8 gates, and behind each gate was a barrel of wine. Then he turned Kushinada into a comb-like shape and tucked her safely in his hair so she'd be protected. Soon, the ground shook, the trees trembled, and with a hiss and a roar, Yamata no Orochi slithered into the village. Each of its 8 heads sniffed the air and caught the sweet smell of the wine. One by one, the heads slithered through the gates and drank the wine. Gulp, 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 until the great beast was drunk and dizzy. It swayed and hissed, then fell fast asleep. With a loud cry, Susanoo leapt forward with his mighty sword. Slash, slash, slash. He cut off one head, then another, until all 8 heads were gone and the monster lay still. But as he cut through the last tail, clang, his sword hit something hard inside. Inside the serpent's tail, Susanoo found a shining treasure, a magical sword. He named it Kusanagi no Tsurugi, the grass-cutting sword. It was so special, he later gave it to his sister, Amaterasu, the sun goddess, as a gift of peace. This sword became one of the 3 sacred treasures of Japan. With the serpent gone, the skies cleared and the people cheered. Susanoo turned Kushinada Haim back to her true form, and they were happily married. He built a beautiful palace for her, and they lived in peace. From then on, Susanoo was remembered not just as the stormy troublemaker, but also as a hero